Bethany was experiencing budget issues, people wouldn't have showed up for an enrollment would have dropped, and you're absolutely correct. If I had known that my major was being canceled the same semester I was enrolling in it, I would have gotten my generals done at a community college and saved myself like 20 grand. Thanks.
The good news is you are here, you're getting a Christ-centered education, it's a liberal arts education, and you're going to complete it.
And what happens when you guys can't afford my scholarship anymore and I have to pay full price?
There's that, your scholarship, if you have a scholarship in theater or speech, those continue.
Okay, so I'd like to just start by kind of establishing and discussing where I stand, and that is the state of extreme disappointment because I've understood this college to be one that really promotes the doctrine of rotation, and that means valuing, the specific strengths that the Lord has given you. And so I had assumed that Bethany as a whole, that as an institution, we would comprehend the doctrine of vocation and be able to lean into our strengths. And I know that a lot of people really respect this school as a place for liberal arts and humanities, and even theater specifically, finer things. And so it hurts me to see these high quality, beautiful strengths that God has given us that really give us a niche in the market. Like if you want to look at it from a business standpoint, there's a lot of people in this room who are part of the minority, who are absolutely abandoned by all other Christian colleges. We do not get prioritized because, I don't know, it's about growth and business majors and whatnot, but it's so disappointing to me to see that this school, which preaches vocation, doesn't understand its own vocation as a haven for Christians who are interested in being both well-rounded and able to express themselves creatively. And so I'm wondering, what do you as administrators and Board of Regents or whoever it is that's here, what do you believe the vocation of Bethany is? Because from what I've seen, Bethany is not valuing high quality education with these decisions. They are valuing extracurriculars over actual classes and academics. And that's disappointing to me because this was not a default choice for me. I looked at a lot of colleges and I was not going to go here. And then I chose this because I believed that you had a high quality understanding of what it means to have a well-rounded Christian life. And I'm just curious about what
I agree with your passion. I love all these things too. I would say, so what if we've got about a $500,000 budget deficit on a year-to-year basis and no reserve fund at all, what should you do?
I would lean into our niche market and start the Christian creatives. There's a lot of people out there scattered. I know people across the states that don't feel that they have a place to go. Their churches do not support them. But Bethany is a place that I recommend to people, but I don't know that I can do that anymore. And so I would lean into the strengths, the things that set Bethany apart from other colleges, because I see us moving in the direction that we're making decisions based on what other colleges are doing and what is trending. But we are not other colleges. Like, we're supposed to be different.
So we have an immediate problem right now, and we've been who we are for years, and it's been built up over time, our reputation. So
You're abandoning your reputation.
no, I'm saying that we've been doing these wonderful things for years, and it's resulted in the number of theater, 12 students. That's not enough to run the region.
But the quality.
I get it, but we're underpaid the buildings.
But trusting that the Lord gives us
So we've been going backwards $500,000 every single year. We burnt through a $5 million reserve fund.
I understand that. But I also understand the concept of manna, that the Lord will provide, even if you cannot save up the bread that He gave you, It's an act of trust.
A question over here. Yep, on the end.
So I hear you're saying that
there's some different promotional materials going out in terms of marketing Bethany as a Christ-centered college. But my question is, if you are cutting the humanities, which is something that a lot of Christian, classically minded or liberal arts minded individuals look for in their college education, I know because I happen to be one of those individuals, and that aspect of Bethany is what ultimately made me decide to come to Bethany above anything else Bethany had to offer. What kind of students are you hoping to attract if you're not looking to attract history majors or philosophy majors or theater majors, etc.? Why have those departments been, to use maybe a bit of a blunt term, abandoned to fend for themselves rather than receiving any sort of promotional help from the administration, rather than having recruiters going out to really prioritize these parts of the school? Why have those departments been kind of left to the wayside for themselves? And also, with them gone, what direction are you hoping the school to go?
So I shared the theater major and minor Sunday. So up until this year, we had 2 high-level PhDs in the history department, right? Well-renowned, well-published, and like I said, they've seen their numbers. It hasn't been working. It's been dwindling and dwindling. So the history major and minor combined, 7. So again, that's freshmen to juniors, so there's just not enough students to run the program.
Why isn't that getting promoted though?
We have been promoting it. We've had 2 PhDs publishing, you know?
Why don't I see billboards that say Bethany History Department?
Because even with what we're doing, you heard Pastor Molstead say a lot of colleges have been cutting those programs. I get it, we're different, but we don't. So again, what would you do? And that was the tough governing board decision. We have to reduce our costs. So hard decisions have to be made.
Way in the back, yes.
This past spring, I graduated with a media arts degree, and I went to work for KUYC News Now, and by the time I walked into the newsroom, everybody seemed to already know about the decisions that have been made because of things happening on Facebook, and they were very shocked by it. And these are mostly people who have nothing to do with Bethany, and so this is showing the outreach that specifically the theater department, the influence that it has in the Bethany community. And these people don't seem to hold the same opinion of other things that are being promoted at Bethany, such as sports. So my question is, when things like theater specifically seem to have importance and roots in the entire Mankato community, and the sports doesn't seem to have as much influence, I'm just sort of wondering what went into that specific decision.
I know at KUYC we have some Bethany alumni, so that's probably how word of that traveled.
None of them were working that day. I was the only one there. So I was the only way they could have known, and they didn't find out through me.
Well, it's obviously been widely published on Facebook. So I forgot what the question was.
I suppose I was just sort of asking, given the idea that Bethany seems to have more of an influence in the Mankato community than sports do.
The theater, you mean?
Yeah, the theater has more of an influence than sports do. Is that something you were aware of before you made your decision? Or is it
Yes,
something would have
that is
affected it?
specifically why the full theater production continues. That one option of cut everything would have even impacted how many plays we can do. So we meaning the region, specifically wanted to maintain the full theater production calendar.
May I comment on that? Is I am really concerned that with cutting the theater major and minor in one fell swoop, 4 or 5 years from now, there's no theater majors on campus, there's none coming in, there's no anchors for the program. I'm sorry, the theater that you want does not exist without this major and minor years from now. Without Phil, I don't know about that, but he and Emily, they've been here for years and years. They are godsends for Bethany as a whole. They're the pinnacle of this community. I'm really afraid that by cutting the theater department out at the roots, like, the department is going to fall apart, and you're gonna lose so much support from family members, from the alum, from graduates, from potential incoming families. I'm terrified for that. And for my family specifically, my parents have been blessed enough to be able to donate to Bethany. They're very disappointed to hear that it has been for nothing now, because they see it the same way I do, that department's gone years from now. I just want you to look if there's another direction we can go with this. None of us envy your position, having to balance this budget.
We had to make some really tough choices.
Can I just comment quickly on this point? So I attended Bethany as a junior college. Under Sig Lee, was involved in 2 plays, and they had musicals and things back then. In essence, we're kind of going back to what it was under Sig, who was a tremendous influence on my life and others. I have no doubt that Professor Bladel, who's just the most wonderful Christian man, cannot still continue to have an influence and do wonderful plays. And back then, we only had freshmen and sophomores. Now we have people, juniors and seniors. That's not going to stop. That's not going to end. So
Have you talked to Pete about it personally?
Pete and I have communicated, I'll say that, we'll talk face to face.
Okay, I cannot speak for him at all, but I feel he'll give you a very different perspective than what you guys are seeing right now.
I think back then you shared the stage in the gym with the wrestling team as well.
Yes, I remember.